President Muhammadu Buhari has declared that if he eventually lost the February 16 presidential election, it will not be the first time of him losing elections. President Muhammadu Buhari, who stated this while feeding question on whether he will accept the result of the forthcoming election if he lost, he said it was impossible for him to lose. The president said he tried it 3 times but was unsuccessful until the introduction of the electronic system and the card reader by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). Speaking during the live program tag Candidate Debate for 2019 General Election in Abuja, the president said it sounded impossible for him to lose the election considering the wide reception he has continued to receive across the country during the campaign. Asked specifically whether he will quit office if he is defeated from the forthcoming election, the president said, "It won't be the first time I will lose the election. I tried 2003 and I was in court for 13 months. 2007 I was in court for 18 months. 2011 I went up to Supreme Court and I sat down and I said, God day. For the 4th time, God and technology helped me." President Buhari said that the government was following a tedious way in fighting corruption, following a careful book and record. He said there are instances where contracts were awarded to company and individuals without work done. Asked whether he was getting frustrated by the slow pace of the fight, President Buhari declared that "I can't afford to get frustrated." He also explained why he had decided not to react on the bribery allegation against the Kano State Governor, Abdullahi Ganduje. "I'm completely overwhelmed by the Ganduje case. I decided not to talk about it because the State Assembly has taken it up," he added. Senate President Bukola Saraki has called on the leaders in the country to help reduce the tension in the politics by contributing to an atmosphere of moderate and major political conversation. He made a call in his remark to welcome back the 8th Senate from the 2018 recess. The President of the Senate remarked that although the 2019 election is just a month away, the work of the leadership must go on, adding that governance must not suffer.
The 2019 elections are just a month away, and the expectations of Nigerians as the dates draw nearer is that we continue to serve as representatives they voted for. In the work of this chamber, we're expected to rise above the partisan paradigm. We should address our minds to and always channel our efforts to how we can move our country forward. Nigerians want to see leaders who will not succumb to partisan instinct in lawmaking. They want to see leaders who will bring new ideas to bear on the challenges confronting our country.
Senator Saraki also called on politicians to approach the campaign by making it a battle of ideas and avoid do-or-die tendency, noting that Nigerians have the right to vote for the leader of their choice.
Leaders should help reduce the tension in the polity by contributing an atmosphere of moderate and measured political conversation. Expectations of the executive are also palpable, particularly regards the need to uphold the Constitution and its tenets, especially as they guarantee the minimum basic requirement of separation of powers, the unity of the country and welfare for citizens.
Senate President also called on Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to urgently look into the issue of uncollected PVC allegation of vote buying, as equally reminded the Commission need to bring relevant stakeholders together for the dialogue on the way forward to tackle these issues ahead of the election.
INEC is encouraged to engage the parties and be transparent in its decision-making. It's important that people are assured of the Commission's resolve and commitment to credible elections. To all Nigerians, I say this: we must have a country after the elections. We still have to live among ourselves when the polls have closed and elections are over. Rhetoric leading up to elections must therefore be mindful of the need for moderation, decorum, and respect. To those of us who are contesting, let us remember that our biggest offer is to serve. Ultimately, the Nigerian people have the right to choose who will represent at all levels. It is not a do-or-die affair.
Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has assured the international community of the Commission's readiness and impartiality in the conduct of the 2019 general elections. INEC chairman gave the assurance when he received the delegation of European Union ambassadors in his office in Abuja. He said the Commission will ensure that all processes leading to the polls and post-election processes, which includes transmission, collation, and announcement of election results, will be credible, transparent, and accepted to all stakeholders, including the international community.
And I want to assure you that we will not fail the international community and will not fail the nation. We are aware that the long-term EU observation mission is already in Nigeria, and also this afternoon I was visited by the long-term ECOWAS observation mission. So the international community is already in Nigeria for the elections. 2019 elections will be credible, will jealously guard the processes, will ensure that the processes lead to the outcome that all Nigerians expect. Nothing but free, fair, and credible elections will be good enough for the Commission. But I also wish to say that the international community has been supportive of INEC in the preparation for the elections, not only in the planning processes, but also in the process of implementing the plans.
Leader of the delegation and European Union ambassador to Nigeria, Ketil Kasim, charged stakeholders concerned in the election process to ensure fair conduct in line with constitutional guidelines and electoral laws.
Our only real mission here is for Nigeria to succeed in having free, fair, credible, transparent and peaceful elections. We have reiterated on numerous occasions, and I think we should continue to stress that before the media and before you, that evidently the international community in general, and certainly the missions that you see before you today, we are not here to support any particular candidate or any particular party or any particular ideology even. What we are here to do is, as true partners of Nigeria, to support your efforts in seeing a continuation of the consolidation of democracy.
The United Kingdom, we have provided significant technical support to INEC over many years. And the reason we do that is because the role of INEC is absolutely fundamental to delivering a credible, free and fair election in the eyes of the people of Nigeria and the international community.
I think I would like to highlight especially one of the concerns that all our embassies have, and that is about the neutrality of the security services. For us, it's very important, all of our embassies, that the security services, the various ones, provide security for the elections to guarantee the safety of the process and voters, but do so in a way that doesn't interfere with people getting to the polls, for poll watchers, civil society monitors, journalists, and others being able to have access and observe the voting freely, both on February 16th and on March the 2nd. This is something we feel very strongly about, and the neutrality of the security services is one of the very, very important issues for the credibility of the election.
I would like to call on all candidates to closely cooperate with the National Peace Committee and all come out and sign for the second part of the peace accord, which will be acceptance of the election results.
The European ambassadors joined INEC chairman to commission the newly built Election Monitoring and Support Center, which is sponsored by the European Union. In Abuja, LM Chukwuemeka reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari has nominated a retired Major General Paul Tafa as chairman of the Northeast Development Commission for confirmation by the Nigerian Senate. He also nominated Muhammad Akali as the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Commission and 9 others as members of the board of the Commission. The nomination was contained in a letter addressed to the Senate President Bukola Saraki, requesting confirmation of the nominee. Senate in October 2016 passed the bill seeking the establishment of the Northeast Development Commission to review the insurgency-ravaged Northeast region of Nigeria, which was assented to the bill by President Muhammadu Buhari in October 2017.
The federal government has finally unveiled the Nigeria Code of Corporate Governance, NCCG, that will promote economic growth, low cost of capital, as well as help minimize waste and corruption in the country. Recall that the Corporate Governance Code issued by the Financial Reporting Council was suspended in January 2017 for detailed review, extensive consultation with stakeholders, and reconstitution of the board following the sack of former Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Jim Obaze. Vice President Yemi Osibajo, who unveiled the code in Abuja, commended the governing board of the FRC and other stakeholders that contributed to the code. Osibajo said the implementation of the nation's Code of Corporate Governance would encourage companies and regulators.
We are all familiar with the journey that has culminated in today's ceremony, and I'm pleased that we now have a widely accepted National Code of Corporate Governance ready for use. The code has been long awaited, and I believe that it will satisfy our desire for higher standards of corporate governance and ethical practices in our business environment, and help to rebuild public trust and investor confidence in the Nigerian economy. The implementation of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018 is important and will promote corporate success and economic growth, lower cost of capital, and perhaps help to minimize wastage and corruption. I therefore encourage companies, regulators, the media, to be publicity agents in spreading the news of the release of the code and the imperatives of its implementation.
Okechukwu Enelama, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, is optimistic that the NCCG will foster the achievement of government's initiative of enhancing the ease of doing business.
The global financial crisis exposed significant shortcomings in the corporate governance of many companies. We have seen monumental failures in risk management, a spate of accounting scandals, and even outright fraud. Corporate governance defines the quality of our market. Good governance instills investor confidence and will typically lead to rapid growth in corporate markets. The investment decisions taken by local and international investors are guided by good corporate governance practices. As corporations compete to attract capital from international markets, investors assess the companies using various factors, such as their track record and use of good corporate governance principles. I am optimistic than ever that the issuance of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018 will foster the achievement of government's initiative of enhancing the ease of doing business in our country and providing a good enabling environment for the corporate sector, thus paving the way for new opportunities and growth of our capital markets.
Many of you will recall an earlier attempt by the Financial Reporting Council to issue a national code in 2016. The suspension of that effort, and of course, we having to go back to the drawing board. What we've done, we've leveraged the lessons learned from that episode for the current effort. And this was reflected in the extensive consultation and engagement with stakeholders that pervaded the whole process. So really what we are unveiling on lunch today, this afternoon, is sort of the process that many of you seated in this room were already involved with. And you were active contributor to the whole process. So I hope by the end of the day, you'll find that the end product reflects your participation and is a worthy representation.
Now, prior to the emergence of a national code, regulators in different sectors of the economy recognize the importance of good corporate governance
And within their own spheres of influence, they did take action to compel operators in those different sectors to practice good corporate governance. So NICOM had a code, but given its regulatory purview, that code was applicable for insurance companies. The central bank has a code, but that code applies to banks and financial institutions, right? So we have different sectoral codes. But now that we have a national code, we can all talk about corporate governance with the same language. 28 principles and how many practices?
The Nigeria Code of Corporate Governance, NCCG, put together by Financial Reporting Council, FRC, and other stakeholders, seek to institutionalize corporate governance best practices in Nigerian companies. Awesome Raffle, Ben Television. Over the years, successive governments in the country have made series of attempts to reform institutions, develop workable legal frameworks, formulate and implement policies to promote a corruption-free society. An attempt to curb corruption in the country led to the establishment of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Related Offences Commission, ICPC, and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Despite different approach in the fight against corruption, not much has been achieved. With 2019 general elections in less than a month, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Young Progressive Party, YPP, African Action Congress, AAC, among other political parties, reel out their plans to fight corruption in the country if they win at the polls. At a debate organized by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, tagged The Big Debate with the theme Corruption and Accountability, the representatives of the parties agreed that corruption is a problem that hinders development in the country, but suggest different ways to tackle it. The parties, however, were not specific on the steps they will take to address the issue.
We will not subscribe to the idea of seeing government as one industry fighting corruption for the people. There has to be a deliberate, conscious effort to conscientize and mobilize Nigerians to own their country. Owning their country and believing that this country, it is not the hegemonic property of certain categories of persons. That way, Nigerians who want to invest in the country with respect to the issues we want to put in the front corner. What we'll do as a government will be first to ensure that we deny the institutions and agencies fighting corruption, we deny them of that monopoly power. Rather than have a chairman taken from the Nigerian police as EFCC chairman or ICPC, you will have a board made up of distinguished Nigerians who have proven track record of integrity and accountability.
Corruption is an endemic problem to Nigeria. The cause of all the problems you see, but be it Boko Haram, be it anything, lack of infrastructure, it's all based on corruption. So my party, if elected into office, has a lot of plans on how to eradicate these things, not to pay lip service, because we have seen in this country that it's been lip service, I will fight corruption, I will fight corruption. Some people tell you that there is no corruption. So our party will fight corruption from its roots, we will not make mistakes. We will punish corrupt people adequately.
Some stated their plans to use ICT to tackle the problem of corruption.
And in essence, what I'm trying to say is this: it shares an inverse relationship with development. Now, the higher the corruption, the lower the rate of what? Development. The only difference between developed and underdeveloped countries like ours is the fact that this is the rate of development. The rate of corruption being minimal and what? Development getting higher. So that said, I would say there is no corruption in these other countries. The answer is no. There is absolute corruption, but the difference is this, that the degree of corruption is low. So what are we going to do differently? We are going to strengthen our value system.
Say that what we call corruption in this country, a lot of it is addiction, truly. It's an addiction now. Let's place it exactly where this is a psychosocial analysis of this problem. A lot of it is addiction, a lot of it is psychological problem. We want to be able to take people out and say, listen, go and test this man if he's okay. For 2 weeks in Yaba left. And then they come back straightened. Alright? Or rather, we take them out of the system. It is true. You see, because again now, but what we're going to also do is to lead by example. In our party constitution, inside our party constitution, it is there that any one of us who wins an election, and by God's grace, when I become the president of this country, May 19, 2019, we are going to, without compulsion, without being pushed, to declare our assets openly. Of course, this is something that can have salutary effects on the rest of the country. So, leadership by example is great. Technology is very important. Psychological test of the people who are running government, very important. Also very important, I'll say before I stop, that there's something called the CAFR, Comprehensive Annual Financial Return, that must be published every year by every MDA of government.
Our biggest problem, honestly, with corruption in Nigeria is the opaque nature of how we do our transactions in the public sphere, and the lack of transparency in the way we conduct our businesses. The moment you remove that, all the teeth will be hung out dry, because before they get anything done, we have seen it, we have tracked it, and we ensure that we leave them on the board. And this will apply to every sector of our institutional public life. The problem with Nigeria fighting corruption is that we do not deliver consequences on corrupt people. It is the reason why some of them have the temerity at this time to be running for office in our country. The guys to my right, the PDP people, and of course the guys who did not come here today. So we will deal with corruption very, very severely, and the people who will bear the brunt of it are already looking at me, and they know what we'll do to them.
On the labor union, they all noted the need for the increase of minimum wage. Meanwhile, the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, was absent at the debate. Awesome Raffle, Ben Television.